We approach article optimization slightly different to your static landing pages. Yes, as we mentioned in the previous video, there are some core on-page elements that affect all types of pages and articles, but it's more the little nuances that we want to address in this video. So let's start by looking at our performance formula that influences the KPIs, clickability and shareability. If we want to improve clickability, we need to optimize 4, possibly 5 elements on the page: the title tag, the title of the article, the meta description, the URL string, and the featured image. The 5th element, the image, comes into play with rich snippets. We've even seen that for a blog post that discusses the demand for digital marketing jobs. In all 5 elements, the challenge is to say enough for them to be intrigued and click through, but not give away the whole message so there's no need for the user to click, as though they've got the answer and there was no reason for them to read the article going forward. Here are a few examples. Too vague and I don't want to click. Jacob Zuma says something. Something too specific and I don't need to click. Jacob Zuma says, I want to lower the taxes for the middle class. And then if you hit the sweet spot, I have to click. How Jacob Zuma plans to improve the middle class living conditions. There you go. So you get the idea. In some cases, the title tag can stay the same as the heading of the article. This is definitely true with regards to the very broad top of funnel content. However, I would like to suggest you still go ahead and search in Google for the topic that you want to write about. Have a look at their titles and see how you can improve on them. Knowing that it's a very broad top of funnel piece of content, it will most likely be very difficult to rank for, or perhaps just not be worth the effort, because there'll be very little to no search volume for the topic, or maybe totally counter to that where there's so much search volume that it's almost impossible to rank for it. So the disclaimer here is that it's all in context. If your website has loads of authority and you already have a big bouquet of content on your website, then it might be worth going after that niche content piece just to continue your growth journey. Or you feel that you've got so much authority and it's so competitive, but it's okay because of that authority that you hold. Here's my example again. Look at the South African internet marketing article I wrote 5 years ago. A few years later, it only started gaining traction. So in hindsight, if we had our structures set up correctly from the day of publishing, perhaps we would have been able to rank a lot sooner for that targeted key phrase. So the very pedantic SEO person will always say every article needs to be optimized because of the long tail, niche and very targeted traffic that it can get, which has tons of value, and I can't argue the reasoning, but it's nice to test the social aspect of an article and to see how shareable it can be without worrying about SEO. This is where the balancing act between SEO and social is very important. And know how some content is purely used to support your larger content pillars. So remember, every article needs to have an objective, and it's not always SEO. If you're creating an article that is very similar to a topic of content pillar that you've already created, then I'd say stay clear of those targeted keywords in this pillar and perhaps do your best not to optimize it for SEO and focus it purely on social, which means your KPIs are going to be clickability and shareability, which will also allow you to be more ambiguous with the title and allow those blurbs in the Facebook post to take care of any keywords or themes you want to mention. If it's middle of the funnel, tactical piece of content, then definitely focus on the title and heading title to get the click. Do the keyword research, the content research in BuzzSumo, and build out the content that creates a content pillar for you. So remember, URL structure is really important here, and avoid keyword cannibalization at all costs. So great stuff. You've now understand or getting to understand the framework that we teach along the lines of article content. And remember to work within this framework and test different topics. Flex your creative muscles within this framework to help the shareability of the content, but never veer off and only focus on creativity, or counter to that, only SEO. The foundational on-site factors are crucial for traffic growth over the long term.